Raymond woke up as a loving father in the morning, and by evening, he was in the police station, trending on the internet. His wife and daughters had reported him. He started that morning like any other man who loved his daughters more than life itself. He was the kind of man who ironed their school uniforms and still had enough energy to joke about who would eat the biggest piece of bread at breakfast. The house was bright with their laughter, the kind that warmed his heart. There was nothing unusual in the way the day began. Then came a heavy, unexpected knock at the door. Raymond thought it was a neighbor, maybe a delivery, maybe someone selling a product. He opened the door casually, wiping his hands on a towel. Instead, he saw police officers. Their faces were serious. No explanation, no introduction, no greeting. One officer stepped forward and said, "You are under arrest." Raymond's chest tightened instantly. For what? He asked, confused, frozen, unable to understand anything. Tracy stood behind the officers. She didn't say a word. She didn't look at him. She just stared at the ground. And that was when the world began to tilt. Before he could ask questions, before he could even breathe properly, the officers grabbed his wrist and locked cold metal around him. Raymond's whole body trembled, not because of fear alone, but shock, deep, blinding shock. What's happening? What did I do? He kept asking, but nobody answered. The officers had one mission, to take him in. And Tracy, the woman he had trusted with his heart, the mother of his children, stood there, watching, tears streaming down her face. Raymond kept shouting, "Tracy, what is this? What's going on?" She didn't respond. She just cried loudly, covering her face with both palms. The neighbors began to gather. Phones came out. Screens lit up. People whispered. Some pretended to be shocked. Others already made up their minds, judging him without hearing a single detail. As Raymond's feet hit the grass outside, one woman from down the street shouted, "Ah, Raymond too? I knew something wasn't right about him." Her voice sliced through him like a blade. Raymond's heart pounded. His head felt heavy. This was not real. It couldn't be real. Someone would explain. Someone would correct this mistake. Someone would tell the officers they came to the wrong house. But nobody did. At the police station, everything became worse. Tracy made a statement in a shaking voice, but every word she said pushed Raymond further into confusion. She claimed he had been abusing their two daughters. Raymond's whole world collapsed. He shouted, "What? My daughters? Tracy, are you out of your mind? Tell them the truth. Why are you saying this?" Every officer's face hardened. They didn't want explanations. They didn't want defense. They already believed the worst. Then the children were brought in. The girls, ages 7 and 5, sat on small chairs, unaware of the storm around them. They didn't even understand the gravity of the situation. They only followed the guidance of their mother, who stood behind them. When the officers asked questions, the girls nodded. "Did your father do it?" "Yes." "Did he threaten you?" "Yes." "Did it happen more than once?" "Yes." Raymond broke down. He cried in a way he had never cried in his life. "My own daughters? My blood? No, no. This is not true. You know me. You know I love you." He screamed, but the officers pulled him back, assuming he was trying to intimidate them. Tracy stood still. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she wiped her tears dramatically. She never looked him in the eyes. The room was filled with tension, so thick she could slice it. The officers believed the children instantly because children are usually honest, because their mother's emotions made everything look real, because the story sounded too serious to question. Phones recorded the moment Raymond broke down. Videos surfaced online before sunset. Within hours, hashtags began to trend. Strangers who didn't even know Raymond judged him. Influencers made posts. Some online pages used his picture to gain engagement. Raymond's name was dragged through mud by people who could never see him in real life. While all this was happening, one woman refused to believe the story. Raymond's mother, a strong, old, prayerful woman who knew her son better than anyone else. When the news reached her, she didn't collapse, she didn't shout, she didn't curse. She knelt right there in her living room, hands lifted, tears running down her cheeks. She prayed the kind of prayer only a mother who had hit rock bottom can pray. She wept until her voice cracked. She begged God for mercy, for clarity, for truth, for divine intervention. Raymond sat behind bars that night, still shaking, still whispering, "Why? Tracy, why?" He couldn't understand it. He could barely breathe. His mind replayed every moment with Tracy, searching for clues, searching for signs, searching for anything that could lead to this moment, but he found nothing. For 7 days, Raymond's mother didn't eat. She didn't rest. She visited the station every morning, asking for updates. The officers began to respect her because of her calm persistence. She didn't shout. She didn't accuse anyone. She just asked for truth. Every time she left, she went home and continued praying. Meanwhile, the investigation moved at unusual speed. Pushed by public pressure, people online wanted a quick resolution. Many demanded he be charged immediately. Some even recorded videos saying he deserved a heavier punishment. Raymond's name was everywhere. His career vanished overnight. People unfollowed his business page. His own extended relatives avoided him. Tracy played the part perfectly. Grieving wife, devastated mother, woman fighting for her children. Court day came faster than anyone expected. Raymond looked like a ghost when they brought him in. Thin, pale, scared. His eyes were swollen from lack of sleep. His voice was weak. He still couldn't understand why this was happening. The judge listened to the children's repeated yes and Tracy's emotional testimony. No strong evidence, no physical signs, no medical proof, nothing solid, but the children's voices were enough. The judge ruled 10 years in prison. Raymond didn't shout. He didn't fight. He didn't argue. His legs gave out and he fell to his knees right there in court. His mother fainted. The hall erupted. Some people clapped. Some shouted that justice was served. And just like that, Raymond's life was sealed. Prison swallowed him. He spent days staring at the ceiling, wondering how a lie could become more powerful than truth. He lost appetite. He lost weight. He lost hope. He didn't lose faith completely. Something inside him refused to die. Maybe because he knew he was innocent, or maybe because he believed God wouldn't let a lie stand forever. 1 full year crawled by. 1 year of endless tears, shame, confusion, and prison walls closing on him. And yet, his mother kept praying. Her prayers, steady like heartbeats, rose every night like incense. Then something unexpected happened. A group of volunteer lawyers visited the prison. They often review old cases, especially those rushed due to public pressure. Raymond didn't even understand what the lawyers saw in him. He had already accepted that life had swallowed him whole. He didn't expect compassion from anyone anymore, not after seeing how quickly the world turned its back on him. But these lawyers weren't ordinary. Their goal was to give people a chance, especially those who didn't have money, influence, or anything fighting for them. When they walked into the prison hall that day, Raymond didn't pay attention at first. He sat on his bunk, hunched over, staring at the floor like someone waiting for rain in desert. One lawyer approached him, a young man with a calm face, not judgmental, not harsh, just observant. "Are you Raymond?" he asked. Raymond looked up slowly. "Yes." The man sat beside him. "I've heard a little about your case. I want you to talk to me from the very beginning." Raymond blinked twice. People had questioned him before, but not like this. Not with gentleness, not with patience, not with open ears. For a moment, he couldn't speak. His voice was stuck in his throat. The lawyer waited. He didn't rush him. He didn't push. He understood that broken people don't open up instantly. Eventually, Raymond swallowed hard and whispered, "I didn't do what they said." The lawyer nodded. "Tell me everything, every detail." Raymond took a deep breath. and for the first time since the disaster began, he told his story without interruption. He spoke about that morning, the shock, the arrest, Tracy's tears, the children repeating yes, the court, the prison walls, his mother fainting, everything, every memory that had tormented him for a year. The lawyer listened silently, taking notes, analyzing, asking gentle follow-up questions, questions that showed he was genuinely paying attention. When Raymond finished, his eyes were red again. The lawyer sighed deeply, like someone who saw cracks in a foundation and knew something was wrong beneath the surface. "We are reopening your case," he said firmly. Raymond blinked again, confused. "What?" "We are reopening it," the lawyer repeated. "Something about your story doesn't add up, and you are too consistent to ignore." Raymond didn't trust Hope anymore. Hope had failed him before. Hope had abandoned him the moment they put cuff on his hands. But the sincerity in the lawyer's voice tugged at something inside him. The process wasn't instant. The group of lawyers had to request documents, review statements, examine court proceedings, and look at how the earlier investigation was conducted. It didn't take long before they discovered something unusual, something that everyone had ignored because emotions were too high. The original interviews with the children were conducted in front of Tracy. That was the first red flag. The lawyers raised eyebrows. Child specialists were called in to review the methods used during the investigation. The more professionals examined the case, the more inconsistencies popped up. One lawyer said quietly during their meeting, "These children were led. I can almost feel it. But suspicion wasn't enough. They needed proof." That's when the welfare department stepped in. A child care specialist, trained in interviewing children in a safe, non-pressured environment, was assigned to re-examine the girls. This specialist did not know the family. She had no emotional stake. She had no reason to lean towards anyone's side. The first step she took was to remove the children from their mother's presence. This was the first time since the incident that Tracy wasn't hovering around them. The girls were taken to a quiet room filled with toys, drawing books, colorful blocks, and cartoon posters. No uniforms, no loud voices, no scary equipment, just warmth and safety. The specialist didn't bombard them with questions. She didn't interrogate them. She didn't force them into corners. She started with simple things. "What's your favorite color? What do you like to draw? Do you like ice cream? Who helps you with homework?" The girls opened up slowly, innocently, the way children do when they feel safe. Then the specialist asked about their father in a gentle tone. Not direct, not confrontational. The youngest girl's voice shook a little. She whispered, "Mommy said we should say yes to everything." The specialist paused. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" The little girl looked at the floor. "She told us to say, 'Daddy is bad.'" The specialist sat still, fighting her shock. She didn't show her emotion. She didn't want to scare the child. She asked softly, "Who told you that?" "Mommy," the little one repeated. The older girl confirmed it. "She told us if we say yes, she will be happy. She told us Daddy is not good." The specialist's heart broke. Every piece of the puzzle suddenly aligned. The children hadn't understood the weight of what they were saying. They only followed instructions from the parent they trusted and loved. The specialist documented every word carefully, making sure everything was recorded properly. This was not a hearsay moment. This was confession from children who finally felt safe enough to reveal the truth. She stepped out of the room and called the lawyers. "We have a problem," she said, voice trembling. Or rather, she corrected herself. "We have a truth." From that moment, everything changed. Investigation reopened. The police reviewed Tracy's earlier statement. Tracy was invited back for questioning. At first, she acted confused. She cried again. She played the victim again. But this time, the officers noticed the shift. Her tears looked rehearsed. Her reactions felt dramatic. They had seen real pain before, and this one looked like performance. The specialist presented the new child interview results. They explained how children can be influenced, coached, or manipulated when a parent is present. They explained that repeated yes answers were likely not genuine but rehearsed. The officers stared at Tracy. They asked again, "Did you manipulate your children?" Tracy denied it. They asked again. She denied it again. But one officer noticed her hands shaking uncontrollably. Another noticed she wasn't breathing properly. Someone else noticed her eyes darting around the room like a cornered animal. Pressure mounted, and finally, Tracy broke. She confessed. She admitted she instructed the children. She admitted she repeated the story to them until they memorized it. She admitted she told them to answer yes to every question. The reason? Raymond had been unfaithful months before. She discovered messages on his phone. It broke her heart. She felt betrayed. She felt humiliated. She wanted revenge. Not just emotional revenge. She wanted him crushed, destroyed, finished. She wanted him to suffer more than she suffered. In her anger, she decided to punish him by taking away the thing he loved most, his daughters. She confessed all of it. The officer sat quietly, stunned. Her confession wasn't dramatic. It was cold, like someone releasing a secret that had eaten her up for too long. Her face changed from fear to anger to exhaustion. She whispered, "I just couldn't forgive him. I wanted him to feel pain." The room fell silent. Pain isn't strong enough to describe what her actions had caused. She didn't just punish Raymond. She punished their children. She punished his mother. She punished innocent people. She punished the man who never stopped loving his daughters. After her confession, the case shifted instantly. The lawyers moved fast. The court ordered a review. Tracy was charged for false accusation, manipulating minors, and obstructing justice. Raymond's name finally began to rise out of the mud that almost buried him alive. But while the truth danced in the air, Raymond himself still didn't know. He was still in prison. He was still waking up every day to metal bars, heavy doors, and cold meals. He still prayed. He still cried. He still whispered, "God, please fight for me." He didn't know that heaven had already shifted the clouds in his favor. He didn't know that his freedom was already working towards him. He was still in his corner when the officer approached with a serious face. "Raymond?" The officer called. Raymond looked up. "Prepare yourself. Something big has happened." Raymond didn't understand yet, but everything he lost was about to change. Everything he cried for was about to be turned around. And the biggest twist of his life was waiting at the corner. Raymond didn't sleep the night before everything shifted. His mind had become a battleground. Memories of his daughters, flashes of Tracy's tears, the coldness of the officers, his mother fainting, waking up inside his cell, praying with a voice that cracked like dry wood. That morning, he sat on the edge of his bunk, staring at nothing, waiting for another long, draining day. The heavy doors clanged. Roll call began. But this time, the officer calling his name had a strange tone. Not the usual harshness, not the usual command, something softer and intentional. "Raymond," the officer called again. "Come with me." Raymond stood slowly. His legs felt weak. He didn't understand the sudden shift in his tone. His heart started beating faster, but his mind kept whispering, "Don't hope. Hope is dangerous." The officer led him down a hallway he had never been allowed to walk before, a corridor cleaner and quieter, that smelled less like pain and more like possibility. They walked past the administrative office, past the record section, past the iron gate he had memorized. Everything looked unfamiliar now. Everything looked like a doorway he didn't trust. Finally, they entered a small room. At the table sat the group of volunteer lawyers, the same people who listened to him when the world refused to. Raymond sat but couldn't blink. His hand shook. His throat felt tight. The lawyer pulled out a file, set it on the table, and exhaled. The weight of the moment pressed into the room. Even the officer leaned against the door, arms folded, eyes thoughtful. "Raymond," the lawyer said slowly, "we reopened your case." Raymond held his breath. "We interviewed your daughters again," he continued, this time without their mother in the room. Raymond's heart started hammering, and the lawyer paused. The truth came out. Raymond's body froze, like time stopped rushing and decided to hold him still. The lawyer continued, "Your wife, Tracy, coached the children. She told them what to say. She influenced their responses. Everything they told the police, everything that led to your arrest was based on her instructions." Raymond's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The lawyer added, "She confessed. She admitted she did it out of anger. She admitted she orchestrated everything." Raymond felt the room spin. His ears rang. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. "My daughters?" he whispered. They told the truth." "Yes, they did," the lawyer replied gently. Raymond slammed both hands on his face and cried. Not silent tears, but heavy. Tears that carried one full year of emotional damage. Tears that came from the deepest corner of his soul. He cried for his daughters. He cried for his reputation. He cried for his lost time, for the hurt that shouldn't have existed. The lawyer gave him time to breathe. Then he added, "Raymond, you are going home." Raymond lifted his head slowly, eyes swollen, lips trembling. "Home? Yes. You are being released. Today." Raymond's breath hitched. "Today?" "Yes." Court approved it. "Everything is done. You are a free man." Raymond stood up abruptly, covering his face, shaking like someone whose body forgot how to stand. They walked him out of the cell block. No chain on his hands, no officer pushing him, no harsh words. Some inmates watched from behind bars, some in shock, some nodding quietly, some whispering prayers. Prison humbles everyone, even the loudest. Raymond stepped through the final gate. The fresh air felt like forgiveness breathing on his face. And then he saw her, his mother, kneeling, crying, hands lifted, her wrapper dusty from kneeling on the ground, her face shining with tears and years of prayers. When she saw him walking out, she didn't stand. She crawled on her knees, crying with loud gratitude. "My son, my son," she shouted, shaking. Raymond dropped to the ground with her. They held each other tightly, crying into each other's shoulders. People standing around were silent. Even the officers had soft eyes. Everyone felt the weight of a mother's prayers answered. "Mama, I'm sorry," Raymond cried, though he didn't even know why he apologized. "Shh," she whispered, holding his cheeks. "You are free. That is all that matters." The lawyers gave them space, then approached slowly. "Raymond," the main lawyer said, "Tracy has been arrested. The case is now fully in court. She will face consequences for her actions." Raymond blinked. "My daughters? Where are they?" "They are safe," the lawyer replied. "Childcare specialists are working with them. They are healing. They've been told the truth, that you are innocent, that none of this was their fault." Raymond exhaled deeply, like a weight lifted off his back. He didn't blame his daughters. They were children, innocent, trusting. He blamed nothing but the anger that had poisoned Tracy's heart. Raymond whispered, "I want to see them." "You will," the lawyer assured, "but carefully, with professional guidance. Healing is a process." Raymond nodded slowly. Later that evening, Raymond sat quietly in his mother's sitting room, the same room where she had spent 7 days on her knees praying. She entered with a bowl of water and a towel. "My son," she said softly, wiping his face. A mother's prayer is never ignored. Sometimes it takes time, but truth will always rise. Raymond's voice was low. "Mama, how do I face my children again? How do I undo this damage?" Step by step, one conversation at a time. Let love lead the healing. Raymond nodded slowly. He rested his head on her shoulder, like a child needing comfort. Weeks passed. Raymond met his daughters again in a safe, structured environment. When they saw him, they ran to him with innocent excitement. They didn't understand everything, but they knew one thing. Daddy was back. He hugged them, soaking their hair with tears, whispering, "Daddy loves you always." The therapist explained to them what influence meant. The children slowly understood that they were told to repeat things that weren't true. nothing about them was blamed. They were shielded, guided, protected. Healing began, not perfect, not overnight, but real. Tracy's court case drew attention. The same people who dragged Raymond online stayed silent when the truth surfaced. No apologies, no retractions, no sympathy. Social media rarely returns to clean up the mess it created. But the truth was out, and that alone mattered to Raymond. Tracy received her sentence, 20 years, not because Raymond demanded punishment or wanted revenge, but because actions have consequences. She bowed her head as she was led away. For the first time, her guilt showed, raw, undeniable, heavy. Raymond didn't feel victory. He felt relief and sadness. Sadness for what anger had turned her into. Sadness for what the children witnessed. Sadness for what the family had lost. Weeks after his release, Raymond decided to visit the prison lawyer's office to thank them personally. As he stepped into the building, one of the lawyers pulled him aside quietly. "Raymond," he said, "there is something else." Raymond frowned. "What is it?" The lawyer revealed a document, something they found during the case review. We discovered Tracy had already filed for separation months ago. She withdrew it silently. Her motive wasn't just anger. She planned everything carefully. She wanted total destruction, but she didn't act alone. Raymond's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" The lawyer leaned closer. "She had been meeting with someone who encouraged her decisions, someone who benefited from your absence, someone close, someone you trusted." Raymond's mind raced. A colleague, a friend, a relative? Who? Raymond whispered. The lawyer tapped the file calmly. "Well, we'll reveal it soon, but just know this. Your story is not just about false accusation. It is about betrayal from more than one direction. Healing will take time, but truth will continue to unfold." Raymond swallowed hard, a mix of fear and clarity washing over him. The chapter of lies was closed, but another chapter, deeper, darker, was waiting, and that is life. Just when you think the storm is over, a new wind blows, asking if you're strong enough to keep standing.